Welcome, everyone. I'm absolutely thrilled to have you here for today's explainer. Today, we're decoding a really fascinating breakdown of how true wealth is actually built. We're drawing directly from our source material on the hidden mechanics of financial independence. We're going to look closely at the math, the habits, and most importantly, the micro decisions that separate those who get ahead from those who get left behind. I literally love unpacking these concepts because they shift the focus entirely on actions we can actually control. It's all about personal accountability, what you and I decide to do with our resources. Okay, let's dive into this.
So I want you to imagine a scenario with me. Picture two people graduating from college on the exact same day. They're standing there in their caps and gowns, and they step out into the professional world earning the exact same starting salary. Now, fast forward 20 years into the future. One of these individuals is completely financially free. They wake up and do exactly what they want with their day. The other? Well, they're essentially broke, totally stressed out, living paycheck to paycheck, and completely dependent on their next deposit. 20 years later, what changed? Our sources tell us it wasn't a difference in raw intelligence. And, it certainly wasn't just luck alone. As we go through this today, I want you to make this deeply personal. Keep asking yourself, where do I fit into this picture right now?
Which leads us perfectly into Section 1, the illusion of income.
To figure out exactly what separated our two graduates, we really have to look at the salary trap. It's this incredibly common, false belief that a higher salary just automatically translates into wealth. You know how it is. Most people look at a big paycheck and think, yep, the finish line has been crossed. But in reality, income is only one part of the equation. Our financially struggling graduate fell right into this trap. They assumed earning more money simply meant they were wealthier. Actually, scratch that, it's more like they assumed earning more meant they could spend more. But it's exactly how your money is used once it hits your bank account that determines your financial destiny, not just the gross number on your pay stub.
And this brings us to what happens when you fall into that trap, facing what we call the silent wealth killers. We're talking bigger homes, newer cars, endless monthly subscriptions for things you honestly forgot you even signed up for, and status purchases. This is classic lifestyle inflation. As income rises, spending often rises even faster. And the irony here is just thick, right? By purchasing the external symbols of wealth to look rich to everyone else, we are actively destroying our actual future wealth. Our broke graduate got a raise and immediately went out and bought a newer car and a bigger house. Their future wealth was quietly, almost invisibly, consumed by their present desire for status.
So let's look at Section 2, acquiring assets versus liabilities. If a high salary isn't the answer, and buying nice things actually destroys wealth, what's the alternative? Well, it comes down to a stark contrast in behavior based on what they choose to buy with their paychecks. Middle-class households mainly acquire liabilities. They buy things that go down in value or constantly pull money right out of their pockets. In contrast, we see the playbook of the wealthy graduate. They focus intensely, and I mean intensely, on acquiring productive assets. We're talking about diversified investments, cash-flowing real estate, profitable businesses. Now, what's really interesting about this comparison is they take their hard-earned paycheck and immediately trade it for things that will put money back into their pockets. I really want this quote to sink in because it is the absolute core thesis of this entire explainer. Wealth is created by owning assets that grow while you sleep. Read that again. If your money stops working the literal second you clock out of your job, you're never going to catch up. The financially free graduate understood this completely. So, I want you to look at your own life and your own bank accounts right now. Is your money working for you while you're resting? Or is it just sitting idle, losing value to inflation, or worse, going toward paying off liabilities?
All right, moving on to Section 3, buying time through compounding.
Once you start buying assets, you unlock this new superpower, scaling time, and thinking in decades rather than months. And this brilliantly illustrates how it plays out. In Decade 1, the wealthy graduate just started small, but they were incredibly consistent. It probably felt agonizingly slow at first. Then, in Decade 2, they simply held those assets and reinvested any returns, no panic selling. By Decade 3, that small, consistent investing vastly outperformed anyone trying to time the market with occasional, erratic large investments. The key takeaway from the data is absolutely clear: consistency over intensity. Time does the heavy lifting if you just get out of its way.
You see, how you view time changes everything. Employees, like our graduate who ended up living paycheck to paycheck, usually exchange their time for money. It's a simple one-to-one ratio. But the wealthy graduate viewed time completely differently. The wealthy use their money to buy time by owning systems. They own businesses, they own index funds, they own real estate.
systems that operate totally independently of their daily labor. They didn't just buy assets, they ultimately bought back their own freedom. So you have to ask, are you currently buying things, or are you buying back your time?
Let's transition into Section 4, Navigating Taxes and Debt.
Let's dive into the structural tools of wealth and completely shatter the myth that all debt is inherently bad. We have to categorize it into two distinct paths. On one side, we have consumer debt. Think credit cards used for clothes, car loans for luxury vehicles, things that just lose value. The source material is abundantly clear here. Consumer debt actively destroys wealth. On the other side, though, we have productive debt. When managed carefully, productive debt is a tool used to build and acquire assets, like, say, a mortgage on a rental property that literally pays for itself. Our broke graduate was drowning in consumer debt. Our wealthy graduate strategically used productive debt to scale up their asset column.
Alongside debt, there is the silent partner in all of our finances, taxes. Understanding tax-efficient investing and utilizing proper legal structures makes a massive, significant long-term difference. The wealthy graduate didn't just focus on making money, they focused on keeping it. By legally minimizing their tax burden through efficient investment accounts, they ensured way more of their money stayed in that compounding machine we looked at earlier. Over 20 years, this difference isn't just a little bit, it's astronomical.
Which brings us to our final part, Section 5, the psychology of investing. Knowing the math, knowing about assets, debt, and taxes, well, that's only half the equation. Our behavior and our psychology are what actually dictate our success. Three massive mental roadblocks stand in the way: fear, comparison, and impatience. Fear keeps you out of the market entirely. Comparison makes you buy things you really can't afford just to keep up with your neighbors. And impatience, that causes you to abandon long-term compounding for, get-rich-quick schemes. These three emotions keep so many people from investing consistently. Be brutally honest with yourself right now. Which of these psychological barriers is currently holding you back? Overcoming these is by far the hardest part of the journey.
So, the crucial point is, the thing separating the middle class from the wealthy is measured in thousands. The gap isn't explained by one massive secret. It isn't a single lottery ticket or one insanely lucky stock pick. No way. It is the accumulation of thousands of small, seemingly insignificant financial decisions made over 2 decades. It's choosing to cook at home instead of eating out and then actually investing the difference. It's controlling lifestyle inflation. It's choosing consistency over your own ego. Every single day is a micro decision.
Which leaves us with the most important part of our day, and a deeply personal question. Which graduate are you becoming? Are you building assets, controlling your lifestyle inflation, and thinking in decades? Or are you caught in the salary trap, buying liabilities to look successful today at the major expense of your tomorrow? Take a really hard look at your own micro decisions. Remember, it all comes down to personal accountability. What am I going to do next? If this explainer changed how you think about your money and your future, please hit subscribe for more evidence-based finance stories. We absolutely love breaking these down for you, and we'll see you on the next one.